Building your own calisthenics routine is actually really not that difficult, and in this video I'm going to show you the only 3 steps, yes 3, you're going to need in order to make an effective workout routine in calisthenics. Let's go. Okay, so the first simple step is to pick one skill you want to learn in calisthenics. Of course, if you're doing calisthenics, if you're serious about it, then you want to be a well-rounded athlete, and so skills is definitely something you want to be able to do in order to improve your balance, control, coordination, etc. And so we need to select a skill that is going to be beginner friendly, something that we actually want to achieve as well, because that's going to help a little bit with motivation. What are those skills going to be, you ask? The skills I would recommend any beginner to try and learn in calisthenics would be, number 1, the frog stand, number 2, the elbow lever, and number 3, the L-sit. Pick one of these skills to learn. If it was me, and let's say I was your coach, which I'm not, but if I was, then I would be giving you the frog stand as the first skill to learn, because that is going to be the easiest one. In fact, doing these 3 skills in order is going to be the best way forward for you, because they're going to challenge you in difficulty and they're going to target different areas and not overexhaust your body when it comes to your actual workout routine. So start off with frog stand, then when you get good at that, I recommend going to the elbow lever. Then when you get good enough at that, I recommend going to the L-sit. How many seconds should you hold these skills, and how long is this going to take? That is going to depend on you and your training, and also a little bit of genetics. So when it comes to the amount of seconds you should be holding it and the general guideline, I recommend that holding a progression in one of those skills should be at the level of around 20 to 30 seconds before you start to progress to another skill. So that means holding a tucked L-sit for 20 seconds, holding the elbow lever for 20 seconds, or the tucked elbow lever for 20 seconds, or even just holding a variation of the frog stand. Maybe just doing alternating taps on the frog stand to build up that initial strength, doing it for 20 seconds before you try to hold the full thing. But by now you should have chose a skill to learn. Once you have done that, you now need to decide what progression you're actually on, because some of you guys might actually be at a better level than others, which means that you can skip a few progressions and therefore speed up your progress. So this is going to be pretty easy to do. All you need to do is experiment with the different progressions. If you can hold it with good form and good technique for 20 seconds, like I said, then you can start to learn the next skill. However, do not make the mistake of skipping to a progression too soon. Prioritize the quality of the hold, the skill, the reps that you're doing, instead of trying to rush through it and trying to progress too soon. This will lead to injury. I cannot stress it enough. Also, you're just going to have improper execution and form and technique of an exercise or any skill that you do in the future, instilling bad habits into your brain and your training, which is not going to be good and not what we want. As soon as you've picked that skill, you know what progression you're on, you now need to work on that skill at least 2 to 3 times a week. Whether that's fully working on the skill and trying to actually do the progressions, or simply doing an easier variation or progression, that is still going to be directly working that skill. However, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to recover. So for instance, if you're trying to learn the single leg L-sit, you guys can still do just leg lifts in order to improve your mobility and your hamstring flexibility as well, your hip flexor mobility, in order to hold that L-sit for longer. You can also improve your straight arm strength by doing things such as straight arm planks or shoulder taps, and these are all going to help your L-sit work, and this is also going to help other things that you do in calisthenics that are going to require you to have straight arms. So maybe think about adding 1 to 2 supplementation skills that are going to help with your form, your technique, your execution of the skill, also getting you stronger in the process. And I just gave you an example right there. You can apply this to every single skill that you do. Okay, so we're still on step 1, but now we're going to talk about strength and muscle rather than just skills. So this is going to include normal generic exercises that we're going to do to build up that strength and muscle. So you always want to be including at least 1 main compound exercise per muscle group. So for me, it would be maybe dips on push day, pull-ups on pull day, squats on leg day, and L-sits or leg raises on core day. The way that I like to structure my workouts, especially for students, is to make sure that they hit the muscle group twice a week. Therefore, they should be hitting chest twice a week, they should be hitting their arms twice a week, their back, their legs, their core, etc. Of course, with calisthenics, most exercises are compound movements anyway, and so you're gonna be hitting pretty much all these muscle groups with nearly every workout that you do. And so you don't need to worry too much about hitting them twice, but the best way to be safe is by doing a push-pull legs and core day with an additional full body day, which is going to be a little bit less intensity. Adding in that full body day enables you to work maybe on mobility more, as I said, also just your overall conditioning when it comes to joints and tendons, and just refining any exercises that are a little bit difficult for you. Okay, so once you've done all that, you should have your plan written out by now, which should include, in my opinion, if you're a beginner, a push-pull legs and core and full body day. Of course, your plan could look a little bit different. You might opt for a push-pull legs, rest, push-pull legs, rest. However, I do like to have 2 to 3 rest days being a beginner in calisthenics. Step 2 is to focus on progressive overload. So what is progressive overload? Why does it sound so scientific? Does it actually mean anything? Yes, it does. It means that when you find an exercise easier, you should be trying to do a harder exercise. So this can include a harder progression in calisthenics, or simply improving your hold time on an exercise to make that exercise even harder. Usually progressive overload is applied to generic weightlifting or bodybuilding, for example, but you still apply this for calisthenics if muscle and strength is a goal. That being said, you want to try and improve the amount of reps that you do every single week. However, it might not be the case that you do improve it every single week, and so a general guideline is to try and increase your reps by at least 1 by every 2 weeks minimum in order to see progress. If you'll find that you're not progressing in those 1 to 2 weeks, or your form doesn't improve, or your technique doesn't improve, then you're probably doing something wrong in your training. Either that, or you're not resting enough, you're not recovering enough, and you're not working on your mobility enough, as I've previously talked about. So essentially, if you haven't improved by at least 2 weeks from the exercise that you started doing, you need to change something up. And this is the case even if you're more advanced, and let's say you're doing 12 push-ups and you can't get past 12 push-ups, add another variation in, or slow down the movement, provide a different stimulus to that muscle in order to keep them guessing, and then you will improve. But as I said before, if you do that and there's still no improvement, then the issue is rest, recovery, mobility, or nutrition 99.9% of the time. So do remember that in your training. If you are struggling after 2 weeks on something, then you're probably doing something wrong, you're not progressing well enough. But if you do want help knowing when to progress, and you want a solid plan, you're too lazy and you can't be bothered to make your own plan, then make sure to check out the Calisthenians Academy. I'll leave the link in the description. This is for people who are serious about calisthenics, who actually want to improve and want my personal guidance in order for them to reach their highest potential and their highest level in calisthenics, guaranteed. If that does interest you, I'll leave a link in the description. So let's get on to the very last step, which is step 3. Step 3 is mobility and rest. I know, it's boring. You don't want to do it. I've already talked about it. When I did talk about it, you probably went, ugh, not again, he's talking about mobility. But it is essential. Always stretch, always warm up, always work on mobility. The more you do it, the less problems you're gonna have in the future, the easier it's gonna be to unlock the hard skills that you want to achieve. If you wanna impress your friends, you wanna shock the world, you wanna impress yourself, your family, your friends, you wanna gain next level confidence, you need to be working on mobility in your downtime, even when you're resting. Active rest and making sure you're working on mobility, applying the same concept of progressive overload in order to improve that mobility by holding a stretch for a longer period of time every week, or every other week, or even every month. You're gonna see an improvement in your mobility over time. It's gonna cause less injuries. It's gonna be way better for you. Mobility is gonna allow you to unlock harder progressions in your calisthenics journey, such as being able to do handstand presses a lot easier, being able to do the L-sit or the V-sit, and even being able to do things like the back lever. These skills all look insanely cool and they look like you're defying gravity, but you're never gonna be able to do them unless you start working on your mobility now. You're actually gonna help your joints and your tendons in the process, by stretching, allowing you to recover and rest yourself even better. So you'll have even more energy, you'll reduce the chance of injury, and you'll be able to progress a lot faster in your calisthenics journey. It is a no-brainer. One extra thing that I want to say, guys, is to make sure you do not rush the process in calisthenics. Once you do have this solid plan, you need to make sure that you keep diligent with the amount of reps that you're doing and the amount of times that you're working out, or the whole time, in order to avoid any silly injuries. This could completely ruin your progress, and all that hard work would go down the drain because you didn't listen to your body, you did too much in your workout, you weren't working on mobility, you weren't resting enough, and therefore you are paying the consequences. So do not try and do what everyone else is doing on social media, trying to rush through progressions, doing form incorrectly, sacrificing your technique in order to get an insane skill that everyone on social media wants to do. You're gonna harm your own body in the process. I do not want that for you. You're gonna feel so much better, so much more fulfilled and confident when you learn it the right way with the proper technique. And then you can go away and be proud of yourself, doing your own plan, building your own routine, and knowing that you're doing things right. When you slow down a movement and your form's better, or you just slow down your training a bit and actually focus on your technique and form overall, you'll surprise yourself with how fast you'll actually improve and progress. Trust me, this is from experience, guys. When I stopped rushing my progress and I actually slowed down, focused on technique and form, I progressed a lot faster. You guys might think this is BS and, you know, what are you talking about, man? That's just not true. It is true, okay? It's true. Slow down the movement, work on technique and form, and you will be shocked with the results. All that being said, in step 3, you need to make sure that you guys add some stretching into your routine. I recommend that you stretch before every single workout. If you don't know what stretches to do, head over to the Calisthenics Academy. I'll link it in the description. And if you want to know what to do on your rest days, make sure that you guys have enough protein in order to recover that muscle, and also make sure that you do have at least one solid rest day where you do absolutely nothing a week. And I especially recommend that if you're a beginner. Rest days are actually more effective than you may think because you're building and growing the muscle on those rest days. You don't build the muscle when you're working out. It helps you break down that muscle, but rest days are where the true strength, power, and growth is going to come from. And there you go. You will have the best calisthenics routine, and this is the easiest explained way that you can build your own calisthenics routine on the internet. I'm pretty sure of that. So you guys that are struggling, you want an easy way to build your calisthenics routine that's not overcomplicating anything and will fit you no matter what level you are or what you want to achieve, there you go. If this video did help you guys and you want to stick around for part 2 of maybe how an intermediate should structure their calisthenics workouts, then make sure you do subscribe. Also make sure to like the video and comment of what you guys want to see next. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.